From Svitek comes a weekly digital series where he shares his insights, concepts, and findings learned during his 15-year journey of working in the entertainment industry. Each lesson offers you a roadmap to overcome the challenges that all artists face on the path to success. Welcome to a Phil Svitek podcast.
Hello, I'm Phil Svitek, 360 Creative Coach, and it's a pleasure to have you join me for this lesson. And the thing I want to talk about today is the importance of reflecting back on various outcomes. A lot of times, we only kind of look at something and try to understand it when we failed at it. This is a problem because oftentimes, just because you may be seeing the results you want, doesn't mean things are going 100% well. So for example, Pep Guardiola, who's a very famous soccer coach, with his teams might be winning even by like 6-0, but if they're not doing the right things, he will be upset. Because even though they've won, doesn't mean that they're doing things correctly. You know, I've seen this in my own experience, like when we're playing pickup soccer, someone will make a pass and it's kind of bad, but for some reason, like a defender will be even worse and kind of flub it, and the ball will go through their legs and get to our attacker. They'll be able to go and score. So the point there being that just because a pass made it to one of our guys doesn't mean it was a good pass. And the real issue with this is that essentially if you're kind of coasting on the idea that, well, we're getting the results that we want based on what we're doing, the problem is eventually it's going to bite you in the ass, okay? And the bigger issue is you won't have seen this coming. It's one thing to kind of be doing something bad and know like, okay, shit, we got away with it this time, but we got to improve, or at least like, you know what, it's working for us right now. It's not the best, but you know what, let's continue. And if it really kind of isn't working anymore, then we can adjust. Because then it won't be like so in your face when it does happen. But oftentimes, again, people are so result oriented that they are caught off guard by failures. And you know, failures are great for teaching us things, but at the same time, you have to assess every outcome, even and especially victories, because there's always room for improvement. There just is. And so assess that. So that way you can kind of continue to build. You know, that's why I'm not a big fan of just external validation, right? Self-improvement comes from self-examination, and that can be individually for a team, a company, and so forth, right? But especially in this American culture of winning and achieving, we don't do that, and we put too much emphasis on the externals versus the internals. You know, it's interesting. Oftentimes, you know, like an example of this, you know, we put such an emphasis, like let's say you're an up-and-coming writer. You want to get on the New York Times bestseller list. Well, there's ways to do that, but just because whether you do or don't, doesn't ultimately tell you the quality of your book. So for example, you know, let's take The Catcher in the Rye, right? A book that has stood the test of time. Do we know what it ultimately ranked within its first couple weeks of when it came out? I mean, I'm sure it's out there. I'm sure you can find it, but no one really cares because it stood the test of time because it's a great work of art, not because of like how well it did in its first run. So, you know, that in itself, like by you measuring outcomes no matter what through success and failures, that's what's going to propel you to make quality work that will stand the test of time versus you just looking to these outside external validations as, am I doing something correctly? And you know, with the Oscars this past weekend, and just award season in general, which just wrapped up, you know, ranging from music and so forth in Hollywood, it's a lot of people's dreams when they're coming up to get a Grammy, to get an Oscar, whatever the case may be. And the problem with that is once you get it, then what, right? It's never going to ultimately tell you how good of an artist you are. You have to determine that for yourself. And like I said, it goes back to the idea that you can only create quality work if you do the self-examination. So that's my thought to you today is start assessing every outcome and have goals and benchmarks. Like, for example, for me, I'm finishing up my feature film. And for me, the goal is to basically just complete this and make it as best as I can under a very tight budget, and to walk away with it, having being a completed film, knowing that I learned something. And the other aspect of it is I'm trying to meet a deadline of March 2nd because I want to submit it to the Cannes Film Festival, which is a dream of mine. And one of my friends, Ian Kaiser, who's a producer on the movie, cautioned me. He said, well, if it doesn't get in, I don't want you to be bummed. And I'm like, no. I'm not submitting it because I want it to. Of course, I want it to, get there. And, if it was part of the festival, it'd be fantastic. And if it even went beyond that, if it won any sort of award, that would be my mind would explode in a way. But that's not the point. It has been a lifelong dream of mine just to essentially submit a film to the Cannes Film Festival. That's it, right? And so this, in a sense, is lighting a fire under my ass to complete the movie, which is all a good thing, right? But as I've said before in other sort of episodes that I've done, if for some reason I don't make that deadline, and I know I've been trying, then I will not submit it just because I don't want to be judged on a lower quality of work. I'd rather complete it and have it be the best that it can be. So I won't sacrifice that. But that's how I'm applying this lesson to my own life is, I want to, I have different measurements of what I measure success to be at. So for me, it's not getting into the Cannes Film Festival. It's just being able to submit. That's a victory in and of itself. Knowing that I made the best move that I could, right? Anyway, that's my lesson for today. If you have any questions, thoughts, opinions, would like sort of maybe, have specific questions about how you would like to apply this to your life, I can certainly help walk you through that. You can comment or hit me up on social media at Svitek, and I will be happy to do that with you. Anyway, I know your time is extremely precious, so I do truly appreciate you taking time to tune in. I hope to continue to be helpful to you, and so I hope that you join me for future episodes as well.